you're all doing well. Um, Welcome to another amazing session of our candidate conversations. So, if you've been with us for the last four sessions, you know that we've had our amazing host, Ufudusi Zwenkosi, but we decided to give him a little bit of a break as Endunamo because we are celebrating Women's Month. So over the next 4 weeks, you will have the privilege of seeing the amazing female team that is behind Indunamo. So hi, I have the privilege of starting everything. And my name is Patience. I am the programs coordinator. And yes, for those that don't know me, I'm sure it would be nice to put a face to a name. Yes, so tonight we have our amazing guest, Amanda Dudula. She's a qualified chartered accountant, and I'm sure you're as excited as I am to hear so much about her journey, her story, and how she got to be where she is today. Amanda, how are you?
I'm well, Patience. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm okay. Honestly, I'm a bit saddened by the weather because I mean I was excited that it's summer, and then today jackets. I'd even stored my jackets away. I don't know what's going on. I'm so confused. Are we in summer or not? So yeah. No, but other than that, I think I'm great. It's so lovely to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm actually having a heater right next to me. So
You
I
see
didn't
what
think
I'm
that would
talking
be,
about? Yeah,
yeah.
like what is going on?
So I didn't think that we will still be having heaters at this time of the year, but yeah, here we are.
Exactly, yeah, August. So Amanda, I have had the privilege of chatting to you over the last few days as we're preparing for this, but I'm sure our candidates would love to know who Amanda Dudula is. So can you just give us a brief background of who you are, what you do? I'm sure everybody is really interested to know about that.
Okay, thank you so much, Patience. They are on the line. Let me just greet everyone that's on the line. And basically, Amanda is a lady from the Eastern Cape. I grew up there. I'm a mother, I'm a mentor, I'm a finance professional. And I basically just have the love for youth. I currently work for a state-owned company, a company that's actually very famous, Eskom to be exact, as a financial manager there. And prior to me joining Eskom, I had various roles in different companies. I've done my articles with KPMG back in the day.
Okay.
And from KPMG, I moved. In fact, within KPMG, I was in the entertainment space.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So we were actually auditing the music houses, television, consumer goods, like your luxury goods. And
Okay.
yeah, and from there, I switched to financial services in Rand Merchant Bank, where it was completely different, doing the financial instruments there, doing IFRS reporting, basically your treasury middle office functions. I stayed there not for long. That was the First Rand Group. Then I moved over to the insurance side of things within First Rand Group still.
Oh, okay.
Yes. At the time, it was Momentum was still the subsidiary of First Rand at the time. So I moved over and I did specialized insurance. But within that environment, I was in the investment space, whereby we were basically investing the premiums on behalf of clients and those annual premiums that corporates do. So it was never like the individuals, but it was more the corporates, and with the IFRS 2 schemes, like share-based payments.
Oh,
Then,
that's lovely.
yes, then subsequent to that, I moved to power lines, which is like ESCOM now. And those are like your high voltage power lines, the transmission division of the business. I moved there as a finance manager, basically looking after the financial reporting, the IFRS, the training of staff, auditors, tax, all the matters that basically involve financial reporting, like your VAT and tax packs, and the consolidation of our 9 provinces. So basically that's the journey. But then within ESCOM, as you would know, ESCOM is a huge company. So there's been various. Yeah.
We see things happening. We don't have electricity and we complain, but I'm sure there's a whole lot that happens behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Oh yeah. No, ESCOM is a huge company. Because within ESCOM, there's been movements around. I've been into strategy. I'm now in the insurance side of things, because ESCOM has its own insurance, where we're doing basically accounting policies for insurance products and different, clients and so on. So yeah, basically that's where I'm at.
Can I just ask, while we're on that, Amanda, what prompted you move? Because I'm hearing you speak, and voltage was never part of the equation. What prompted you move to ESCOM? I mean, was it a recommendation? Like, what in you made you think, okay, now I'm ready, I'm going to move to ESCOM? What was that about?
It was basically part of the growth strategy, personal growth in particular, because I was moving into a higher position in ESCOM, and it was a management role. And yes, and with ESCOM at the time, it was still one of the best employers within the industry. In fact, even in the world. So the role, when I looked at the spec, the role was very demanding. It was huge. It involved a whole lot of a lot of functions within the finance, and there were opportunities. Exactly. So there were opportunities within ESCOM to actually move around. So there was huge, in fact, there still is huge potential for growth even now, because ESCOM business is here to stay, basically. Electricity, everybody needs electricity.
Everybody does.
So,
all through
yes,
yes. No, that's amazing. I honestly, I think that's remarkable, that bold move that you did, because it was not even along your lines, and you're like, you know what, this is the time, I'm going to go for it. So that's quite remarkable, Amanda.
It also, sorry, just to add in there, it also just shows that if you are in the finance space, you can move anywhere. You can, because I mean, if you look at what I've audited and you look at what I've been before, where I've been before ESCOM, you can actually move anywhere in any industry, because at the end of the day, reporting is reporting. It doesn't matter what product you report on. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's actually very good. Thank you so much for adding that on. Thank you, Amanda. So you are a qualified CA. Please tell me. We've got candidates that are obviously aiming for that designation. What does it mean for you? Has anything changed in your life since you qualified? Tell us about being a CA. What does that title bring to your life? Is there any value at all?
There is a lot of value in becoming a chartered accountant in South Africa, particularly in times we live in right now, because chartered accountants, it's not only for you. it's for the society at large. It's
Wow.
for families, because you know, financial literacy is a huge problem in South Africa, and there is no better finance, you know, professional than, I can say, a chartered accountant, because that person is an all-rounder. So the CA designation for me has actually opened so many doors, in particular, and even within the space where I work in, because you find that people start listening to you.
Wow, yes,
With
okay.
a
Amanda
different,
Dudula,
yeah.
CASA. Yes,
Yes.
of
And
course.
and they start actually thinking, oh, okay, that's actually important. But when I said the same thing before, it was like, I know we've got other important things. But
Like, just
besides that,
relax, we'll come back to you.
exactly. And besides that,
Yes.
also, it is a very self-fulfilling, you know, it just brings a fulfillment in you to say, listen, because it's a long journey. So I've finally finished, you know, my race, and I can add value in so many different ways, not just
Wow. Yes.
you know, at work, in society as well, and at home. So it's really been good to me. Yes.
I think there's something very profound that you just said, and that is financial literacy. I think maybe we overlook how important financial literacy is, not just for you, the chartered accountants, but for everybody, even just the mother in her home who's trying to make that
Yes.
100 rand stretch a little bit more. You know, financial
Yes.
literacy is something that should be taught like across all boards. So I think that's a very
Yes.
profound thing that you mentioned. So thank you for that. So
Thank you.
yeah, you are a previous candidate at Indonam.
Yes.
How was that journey? What stood out for you when you're with us? Like, was there anything in particular, any favorite moments? Talk to me about that.
Um, you know, with Endunamo, the one thing that stood out, in fact, one of the things that stood out for me was the personal touch in everything that the lecturers,
Yes.
the staff put on. And the structure for me was also key, because I mean, we've studied at other universities before, at other institutions, and it's hard. Not all universities provide the kind of structure that Endunamo actually gave, particularly in your financial accounting,
Okay.
your tax, your what's this? The MENEC. They're actually famous for MENEC as well. Yes. So that is the devil for most students. So I found that very important, and they are systematic. And so for me, that actually, there were so many aha moments when I was
Oh, I like
studying
that
there. I was like,
aha movement. Yes, that's very
yes,
nice.
so many of those, to say, oh my Lord, I didn't see this thing this way. But they bring a different angle into a concept, into a scenario. And the exam technique, oh my word, needless to say anything, but yeah, thank you. That I mean, Indonamo any day.
Wow, that is very profound. I mean, you just mentioned the exam technique.
Yeah.
So, tell me, did you study at a different time? I'm sure you did. I can imagine it was not COVID related. So now
Yeah.
we've got our candidates that are trying to develop systematic exam techniques under COVID-19 situations, and it's obviously different from when you started. What would you tell this candidate? How do you develop a very profound exam technique in a situation you've never been exposed to in your entire life? I think you can imagine the struggle that we're going through. So yeah, tell us a bit more about that exam technique that you think Indonamo was famous for.
First and foremost, COVID-19 presented a lot of opportunities. right? Yes, there's a bad side, but I think we need to pick up on the positives.
Okay.
One being time. We've been given time to actually go through the literature, a bit more. But on the exam technique side of things, my take has always been, whenever a candidate is answering or putting a solution down, the most important thing is planning. You just cannot go on without planning.
Mm-hmm.
And before planning, you have to understand what the question wants. Because if you don't understand what the question wants, you are not going to plan correctly. So you need to follow a systematic approach and basically just use a method. Just be methodical in everything that you do. Now, within the exam technique space, if I can just make an example, if you're responding to say auditing, you are asked to audit maybe PPE, whatever the case is, some acquisition, whether it's a loan that the company went to get from the bank, you need to sort of plan as if you are about to tell a story. Now, when you tell a story, so when you tell a story, you don't leave out any parts. The story forces you to put in everything according to a certain way. Now, so all companies, they purchase something. They, they take loans. Some companies take loans and so on. So you need to ask yourself, before that purchase, what had happened? There must have been a meeting somewhere behind closed doors. There must have been some committee, whether it's board, whether it's EXCO, whether it's whatever. So now you've got to check. There must have been a starting point. So you have to start there to say, listen, okay, give me the minutes, give me whatever, and then you audit to check the validity and the authorization of that, both from the accounting side and from the auditing side. And there must have been an agreement. So the agreement has terms and conditions and so on. So you check that to
so that's the
make
next
sure
part
that
of the story.
That is the next step. Can you see that I'm starting from the beginning and going through
You're
steps?
going, and I'm there with you. Yes, I'm also following. Yes, the listener is also, yes, it makes
exactly.
sense.
So I'm telling a story. Then after my agreement, then I go to my sort of Bible, that is IFRS, because at the end of the day, I'm an accountant. So now what does IFRS say to me as an accountant? IFRS says you must account for this thing like this and so on and so on. So that's where you fill in your recalculate, reperform, do this, fair value that, and so on. You bring in experts and all of those things. Then after all of that, you would then have, subsequent events or subsequent times. Now, what happens after I've done all of these IFRS requirements? Then I have my impairment, I have my depreciations, I have my all of these things. You understand? To move on now up until the end. So if you don't use the steps, you're likely to lose some of the marks, because now when you approach a question, with a story-like sort of system, you're likely to beg a lot of marks. And this applies to your financial instruments. Financial instruments, it would have happened somewhere. There would have been an order, there would have been a forecast, there would have been an order, there would have been FOB and so on. You draw a timeline. Groups, same thing. There would have been a purchase of maybe an associate or whatever. Too. Yes, and then things would have changed. So you follow a process, draw the timeline so that you understand the events at each stage gate. So that is key. And in tax, again, in tax, they put in all sorts of things. You have to understand who are the taxpayers involved here.
Yes. Well, that's actually very profound, Amanda, because you are saying, what you're basically saying is, in order for you to score all the marks, don't leave anything out. Don't be in a rush to summarize. Tell the story, How did it
Yes.
start? How did we get there? Let's audit fully. And I think that's very beautiful for our ITC candidate, like everybody, just to get to know when they go into their next assessment.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, beautiful. And speaking of assessments, tell me, what is it that stood out for you when you were with Endunamo? Was it assessments, mentorship, the lecturing team? What do you think you will hold dear to your heart going forward? What stood out for you at Endunamo?
I think the first thing that stood out was the dedication.
Wow. And you also mentioned the personal touch, which was quite nice. Yeah.
Yes, the dedication. Oh, Rendani works. Oh, Rendani works. Oh, no,
Everybody wants
yeah.
his work ethic, I imagine. Yes.
The work ethic of the lecturers for me stood out.
Yes.
And
Beautiful.
I remember a lecturer called Ferdinand as well,
Okay.
and Madi. So those guys work, they would keep us up until late, but it was worth it. It was all worth it. And the part I also liked was that they would never leave any student behind.
Oh, wow.
They would never leave anyone behind. And they would say, after explaining a couple of times to a student, they would say, okay, please remain behind. We're going to have a chat. And the other thing that I liked the most, they had transport for students who didn't have,
And that's
transport
still
and who
there.
stayed.
Well, yes.
Yes, they had
Outside of
transport.
COVID,
And they
outside of COVID, that's still there.
exactly, they had all sorts of enablers. Coffee and all of those things to just keep you awake and focused. So there was no way that you could be absent when you are in lectures. So you had to be present. So I think that part stood out for me. And also, their content was good, structured. Accounting, they had steps. This is what you do. So basically, they would give you a game plan of whatever
Okay.
topic that comes to mind. So you would know if a topic like this comes up or whatever, I know the first step is this and this and this. And even if it came in a different format, but in your mind, you have steps that you know you'll follow. So yeah, that was awesome.
That is beautiful, Amanda. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank
And
you.
I just want to ask you one last thing before we move on to our questions with the candidates. So we are moving closer to November, and that is when our ITC candidates are set to write the examinations.
Yeah.
What do you think they should focus on the most? As a previous ITC candidate, what would you advise them to do in terms of just preparing? We've got about 2 to 3 months left before the examinations. What's the best game plan, like you said, that you can give them?
Okay, I've got a couple of tips that I can give them. The first one, the first one is they need to believe.
Wow. Okay.
The first one is believe. Make sure that you have some kind of belief. If you doubt yourself, that is going to work on your mind. The second part is there are no shortcuts in this thing. Please put in the time. There are no shortcuts in life. Please put in the time. The third one, trust the process. So
the process. That's a
trust. Yes, trust the process.
Yeah, everything else that comes through that, just be okay.
Yes, just be okay. Trust the process. Follow what the lecturers ask you to do, and avoid burnout. So but burnout is not good. So make sure that you have strategies to avoid the burnout and so on. Exercise, pray, whatever you believe in, please pray. It is very key that you pray. And put in the time and work. And exam technique, guys, it's no joke. Plan your answers. And it sounds like, I mean, back in the day, it used to sound like when lecturers say you must plan, they'd be like, I know, you're wasting our time. Hey, this would be a waste of time. No, it is not a waste of time. Please learn. Yes, please learn how to plan. It is important because if you plan, you are likely to score more marks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda. That's very brilliant. Everybody, we are open to questions. Please send them through whatever group you're in. Yes, I'm here. We're waiting. And Amanda, while we're waiting for questions to come through, allow me to ask this. In your journey to qualify as a CA, did you ever fail? Was there ever a time where you have exhausted all your CTA, ITC attempts and you're like, okay, maybe this is it for me? Like, just tell me about that. Or was it just a smooth sailing for you? You qualified just like that?
No. You know, I used to call myself a return soldier because I did my articles when ITC was still called QE, qualifying exam, QE1.
QE, yes, okay.
Yes. So at the time, we were given 5 chances. And I exhausted all my chances. So the exam used to be long from 8 to 1. All my chances were exhausted. So, and then I decided, oh, no, this thing is, I need to take a break and just live my life. And I started just, relaxing. But I figured later on that, no, man, I need to finish this thing because there was that guilt. Yes. So I felt so guilty not finishing it because now I would feel, there was that void that, listen, you have to finish this thing. And
that was the goal.
Yes. So I went back and redid CTA. So I have 2 CTAs. I redid CTA and then wrote the now ITC. And even with APC was not smooth sailing either, because I repeated APC, and it was so difficult. But you have to dust yourself and move. And now when you study at an older age, it becomes a struggle because now there are kids involved, there's life happening outside of studies. Yes, so it becomes so difficult. You have to plan your time, you have to have a timetable, you have to have structure in your life. If you have no structure in your life, unfortunately, you're going to struggle. Yeah.
That is beautiful. Okay, so guys, what I'm getting from Amanda is perseverance is key. Regardless of whatever phase you are at in your life, you just have to, if you set a goal for yourself, be determined, get it done. And while we're at this, but a question, Amanda, from Ushilongi. Actually, Shilongi has 2 questions. So question number 1, I feel like I asked myself this question a lot of times. What career advice would you give your younger self? I think that's a very deep question. Go back to when you're 18, finishing high school. What would you tell yourself? Is this a journey that you planned?
The journey that I planned at 18.
Yeah, your younger self. What would you tell your younger self right now?
Oh, right now. Okay. What I would tell myself right now is I would work backwards, right? To say, let me look around, around me to say exactly what is it that makes me happy, that would make me happy. What kind of passion do I have? Whether it be entrepreneurship or like normal business or medicine or whatever the case is, what is it that actually excites me? And I would actually try it out. I see, those initiatives where you need to bring a girl child to work or a boy child to work, such initiatives. Yes. So such initiatives, I would really join those to just taste all the industries to see exactly what is it that make me tick. Then work backwards to say, now to find out the course or the path that I would actually take to get there. As opposed to working from bottom up, it would be a top-down approach from me. Yes.
So you're saying, in essence, do not be afraid to discover yourself.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Do not be afraid. And that is to avoid doing a course because your parents say go and do a particular course. Then in second year, yes. Then in second year you drop out. So there's a lot of cases like those these days where kids, they just say after second year, no, this is not what I wanted. Or even after graduating. So we need to avoid such because
job because this is what the adults meant for you to do, and you just follow that path blindly. That is very deep. Okay, so Shilongi, to answer that question, do not be afraid to discover yourself, figure it out. That's what you tell her younger self, and I love that answer. And Shilongi has question number 2, which is, what was your favorite subject and why? So you had 4 disciplines across ITC. Which one would you pick as your favorite and why?
I would pick management, accounting, and finance. That was my favorite subject because I did mathematics. So it was, for me, easier to respond to basically anything that comes my way, because mathematics, trains you to have that lateral thinking and a certain kind of thinking. So so it was more like algebra to me, and it really made sense. It made a lot of sense for me, even in business and a whole lot of things. So that was one course that I really, really loved. And
Wow. No, that's beautiful. I'm sure if Urindani, our manic lecturer, is listening, he is loving that as well. Thank you so much for your answer, Shilongi. I hope you're happy. And we've got a couple of questions coming in. Allow me to go through them. So I'm going to go to the next one. Please ask Amanda if throughout her CA journey, did she have a mentor to guide her along the way? And what did she take away from the experience? If not, does she wish that she had one, and why? Okay, so this is basically we want to know about mentorship. What is your standpoint on Endunamo's mentorship program, etc.? So yeah, tell us about that.
Okay, I did not have a mentor, and I wish I had a mentor, because I mentor people myself, and I think yes, I mentor quite a number of guys, and I see the importance of mentorship, because I didn't have one, and there was no one to keep me in check or to motivate and so on. So it had to be self-motivation. And with that self-motivation, it would just be to look around me to say, okay, who inspires me? And I would just take notes from, those people, and ask, some colleagues who've walked the journey ahead of me. But I believe mentorship is important, because mentorship is particularly, I've seen in Dunamo, the mentors there are great, and they have a very nice mentorship program. That for me is key, because we're not the same as people. There are things that I can be comfortable asking in class, and there are things that I will not be comfortable asking in class, right? So now, my mentor would be the soundboard of some of the things that I could not get in class, to say, listen, I want to know this, I have a weakness here and there, and so on. And my mentor could be somebody who has a network, who can say, okay, no, this is how you do this, or skills for that matter, to say this is how you should approach a certain, scenario, and this is how you should do it, and so on. So mentorship is key for me, for anybody, whether you are starting, you are in business, or wherever. Mentorship is key. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that is beautiful. Thank you so much for that. So, in essence, you just can't do this journey alone. You always need that support system, hey?
Yes.
That is beautiful. And I think this would probably be our last question from Udiva. It says, hi, Amanda. How can one market oneself for the job market after articles? What is the point of departure?
Okay. In fact, the most important part that one needs to understand is what is your passion? Because now, if you have passion in something, you don't worry about money, just worry about fulfilling your passion. The one thing that is good about being CA is that you can follow any path, still within the confines of the CA route, but you can be in medicine, you can be in legal, you can be anywhere, but still be a CA. So make sure that you understand exactly what your passion is, because if you're doing something that you're not passionate about, you'll be wasting your time.
It's futile.
Sooner or later it will catch up with you, and you will get to a point where everybody annoys you, your bosses annoy you, and so on, for no reason. So find passion first, then you can move towards that direction, because right now the CA on its own is not going to bring oysters on your lap, unfortunately. You have to work still. You still have to work, because now we're living in an environment where technology is everywhere. Now go there and learn technology things, whatever it is that you have passion about. Go and learn legal if you want to be in estates, because now there's tax involved there. And then go to academia if you want to be a lecturer, right? So find something that is aligned with your passion, with your path. Otherwise, if you're just gonna not do something, then because even within business and entrepreneurship, there are short courses that you should perhaps do about leadership, about other things,
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I love the fact that you say just because I'm a qualified CA, it doesn't mean that doors will automatically be open for me now. I don't just have oysters at my feet. I still need to put in the work. What is my passion? Tax, auditing. It's a very broad spectrum, I imagine, hey?
Yeah, yes, it's very broad.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Amanda. I think we are done with our questions, unless I've missed anybody out, which I don't think so. I'm just going to ask you our final question for this evening, Amanda. So what final words of encouragement would you have for our candidates across the board? Because we've got straight from BCTA to APC. And you've been through that journey, all 4 courses. What would you tell our candidates right now? Some exams have been postponed. So much is going on. What's your final word of advice to our candidates?
They need to keep their heads up all the time, and particularly with COVID, because there's so many things happening around us. Parents are dying, grandparents are dying, and so on. They need to keep the faith, because these exams test character.
Wow. Okay.
They test you. They test your character. So you need to rise above those challenges. The challenges will be there. Trust me. So there needs to be some survival mechanism or a survival strategy. If running is your thing, go and run 5 kilometers.
Yes.
If yoga is your thing, do that. Look after yourself. Avoid multitasking too much, because I know with you know, candidates who have kids, the kids are at home. It's COVID. There's homeschooling. There is all sorts of things. There's work this side. There's you this side. Please just, you know, do a timetable and make sure that you sleep at a particular time, and you to avoid the burnout again. I did talk about burnout earlier on. And your studies, yes, your studies must be a priority, of course. Just make sure that you understand the concepts, and if you go through your studies and break things, you know, the chance for productivity, you have to kill the rocks first before the gravel, in order for you to be productive. So focus on productivity. Make sure that all the big things, you kill them out. Otherwise, if you start with small things, you get exhausted before you look at the bigger picture.
Get the bigger things.
Yes. So just have a strategy in order to manage. Otherwise, you'll be happier. You'll be happier if you do all of these things. Structure is key. Structure at home is key. Structure at work, structure in your studies is key. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Amanda. If I get any other questions throughout the course of this evening, I'll definitely send them to you, and I'll send them back to you guys, the candidates. But guys, thank you so much for joining us for our first ever women's edition. I hope you will tune in again next week, and we've got a different host. And like I said, it's the Endunamo female team. So you guys will want to definitely see all our faces, so that next time you talk to us, you can, put the face to the name. Amanda, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on our session, and I hope everybody was just as inspired as I was. Structure is key, guys. Let's remember all the lessons that Amanda has given us. And have a good night. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.